Right. Shalom, shalom. My name is YAH. I'm with Savior Word of Yah, Tabernacles of the Congregation of Israel. O thy kingdom come. Welcome to our weekly Bible study. It happens that our Bible study happens to fall on Hanukkah, Feast of Dedication on Hanukkah. So Hanukkah is, one of those days. It's not a high holy day. It's not Yah's a commanded holy days, but it's our tradition, our history. It's something that even Mashiach dealt with. So if we look at this season, you see people talking about Christmas and they put the Christ back in Christmas and this, that, and the other. Well, Mashiach, the Messiah, the Hebrew, the one in the Bible, he didn't keep Christmas. He kept Hanukkah. So what is Hanukkah? I when I first came into word, I thought Hanukkah was more like Jewish, because I didn't see it immediately in the Bible. So, I thought it was Jewish. But what we're going to do today is we're going to go over it. We're going to look at in the Bible. We're going to go in Second Maccabees. We're going to see where Hanukkah came from. We're going to see what Hanukkah means, and we're going to see if it's biblical. And we're going to see why today we are keeping Hanukkah, which is the 25th day of the 9th month. All right, so we're going to open up in Psalms, Tehillim, chapter 30. Tehillim, chapter 30. Let me pull up the scripts. And again, this is an open forum. So if you have any questions or anything like that, definitely chime in and we'll try to get to them. So we're going to Psalms, Tehillim, chapter 30. And we're going to start this at verse 1. We're going to read 1 through 12. All right. Psalms, Tehillim, chapter 30, and verse 1. A psalm and song at the dedication of the house of David. I will extol you, O Yahweh, for you have lifted me up and has not made my foes to rejoice over me. O Yahweh, my Elohim, I cried unto you, and you has healed me. O Yahweh, you has brought up my soul from the grave. You have kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. Sing unto Yahweh, O you saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. For his anger endures but a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And so this is what Hanukkah represents. It represents, once we get into the history of it, that joy that came, that joy that comes in the morning. That, yeah, we might go through a dark night, but Yah's mercies renew every morning. So that joy comes in the morning. Verse 6. And in my prosperity, I said, I shall never be moved. Yahweh, by their favor, you has made my mountains to stand strong. You did hide your face, and I was troubled. I cried to you, O Yahweh, and unto Yahweh I made my supplication. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Shall the dust praise you? Shall it declare your truth? Hear, O Yahweh, and have mercy upon me, Yahweh. Be you my helper. You have turned me from my mourning into dancing. You have put off my sackcloth and girded me with gladness, to the end that my glory may sing praise to you and not be silent. O Yahweh, my Elohim, I will give thanks unto you forever. So this is the psalm of dedication when they were dedicating the house of David. So we're going to look at that word dedication. We're going to look that word up, and we're going to see what that Hebrew word is. So if we look for the Hebrew word dedication, let's look it up. It should be H2598. All right, here you go. Dedication, H2598. All right, let me actually, you know what? I wasn't sharing the script, so let me pull that up. Salak y'all. All right, so Psalms right there. We're going to Psalm. We're looking at that Hebrew word for dedication. H2598. That's where you get that word Hanukkah. H2598. Hanukkah. That's from H2596, which is Hanak. All right. Hanukkah. That's initiation. That is consecration or dedicating, dedication. So the word Hanukkah literally means dedication. So that's when you have the holy day of Hanukkah, you have the feast of dedication. That's why you're saying Hanukkah. So Hanukkah is just the Hebrew word for dedication. All right, so let's get into feast of dedication. Let's go to First Maccabees. So we're going to go into the 1611 King James version, which is the original King James, and we're going to go to First Maccabees. Now, when you read First Maccabees, you see why they pulled these books out. It's our history. It talks about literally what they did, the tactics that the heathens used to take us down. And it's the same tactics that they're using right now to this very same day. And then it tells you the exact people that did it in history, their names. And you can look that up in history and see that that wasn't that long ago. So they pulled these history books out because they didn't want us to know who did what to us. All right, so we're going to go into Hanukkah right now, where we get Hanukkah from. So we're going to go to First Maccabees chapter 4, and we're going to start this at verse 1. All right, so we're going to go to First Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 1. All right, so at this point, again, we you know, we're not going to go read all of this, but where we're at now is where we're having the invasion into Jerusalem, where we have the Greeks that are threatening, and they sided with the heathen round about us, all the, you know, the Edomites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, all those people around us to take us down. And they came and they destroyed our temple and were killing us, and to the point where we couldn't even keep the Sabbath. We had to run to the wilderness to keep the Sabbath. And those that ran to the wilderness, the soldiers came out and killed them in the wilderness, keeping the Sabbath. So the Maccabees said, look, we can't just because it's a Sabbath, sit out here and let the heathen just kill us because it's Shabbat Shalom. No, we will cease to be a nation. So the brothers of the Maccabees, which means hammer in Hebrew, which was their style, the hammers, they fought against the Greeks. So this is when they're going up against the Greeks. So First Maccabees chapter 4, and we're going to start this at verse 1. And shalom to my big bro Yafi Yehuda. Good to see you, family. All right, verse 1. Then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen, and Gorgias is one of the captains that were selected to go against the Hebrews. Then Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out the camp by night, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Yahudim and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Now when Yehudis heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army, which was at Emmaus. While as yet the forces were dispensed from the camp, in the mean season came Gorgias by night into the camp of Yehudis. And when he found no men there, he sought them in the mountains, for he said, these fellows flee from us. But soon as it was day, Yehudis showed himself in the plain with 3,000 men, who nevertheless had neither armor nor swords to their minds. And they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong and well harnessed, and compassed round about with horsemen, and these were expert of war. So can you imagine that? These brothers, it's 5,000 footmen, 1,000 of the best horsemen, all of the Greeks coming to kill the Yahudim, and they showing up with 3,000 men with no weapons. Just picture that scene. And they showing up against expert men of war, showing up with no weapons. 3,000. All right, verse 7. And they saw the camp of the heathen that was strong and well harnessed and compassed round about with horsemen, and these were experts of war. Then said Yehudis to the men that were with him, fear you not their multitude, neither be you afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea when Pharaoh pursued after them with an army. Now, therefore, let us cry unto Shamaim, unto heaven, if peradventure Yahweh will have mercy upon us and remember the covenant of our fathers and destroy his hosts before our face this day, that so all the heathen may know that there is one who delivers and saves, Yasharal. Then the strangers lifted up their eyes and saw them coming over against them. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but they that were with Yehudis sounded their trumpets. So they running out there with no weapons, nothing, blasting shofars after they prayed. So they joined battle, and the heathen, being discomfited, fled into. So the heathen with weapons is running from the brothers. The brothers blowing the horns, running crazy, with a loud teruah like trumpets. And they like, man, these people crazy. They turn around and ran 5,000 soldiers on horses and footmen. And that's the spirit of Yah. See, Yah's in control. Verse 15, howbeit all the hindmost of them were slain with the sword, for they pursued them unto Gezerah and unto the plains of Idumea and Azotus and Jamnia, so that there were slain upon them 3,000 men. This done, Yehudis returned again with his host from pursuing them, and said to the people, be not greedy of the spoil, insomuch there is a battle before us. And Gorgeous and his hosts are here by us in the mountain, but stand you now against our enemies and overcome them, and after this you may boldly take the spoils. As Yehudis was yet speaking these words, there appeared a part of them looking out of the mountain, who was when they perceived that the Yahudim had put their host to flight and were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared what was done. When therefore they perceived these things, they were sore afraid, and seeing also the host of Yehudis in the plain ready to fight, they fled everyone into the land of the stranger. So even the other soldiers that were coming to back up, they saw the fires from when they burnt the host and sent everybody fleeing. They turned around and took off. Then Yehudis returned to the spoil of the tents, where they got much gold and silver and blue silk and purple of the sea and great riches. After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praise Yahweh in heaven, because it is good, because his mercy endures forever. Thus Yasharal had a great deliverance that day. Now all the strangers that had escaped came and told Lysias what happened. When he had heard thereof, he confounded and discouraged, because neither such things as he were done in Yasharal, nor such things as the king commanded him were come to pass. The next year, therefore, following, Lysias gathered together 3,000 choice men of foot and 5,000 horsemen, that he might subdue them. So they came into Idumea, which is Edom, and pitched their tents at Bethsur, and Yehudis met with 10,000 men. And when he saw that mighty army, he prayed and said, blessed are you, O Savior of Yasharal, who did quell the violence of the mighty man by the hand of the servant Dawid, and gave the host of strangers into the hands of Jonathan, the son of Saul, and his armor bearer. Shut up this army in the hand of your people, Yasharal, and let them be confounded in the power and horsemen. Make them be of no courage, and cause the boldness of their strength to fall away, and let them quake at their destruction. So, we as men, we train for combat. We train to fight, and that's very important. But we also have to train spiritually. If you don't have no faith in Yah, if you ain't anointed by him, you can easily get a spirit of fear like the heathen. He put a whole spirit of fear on the heathen where they can't stand before Israel. So when it's our time to stand up for Yah and to stand up for Mashiach, we have to believe in these stories that we're reading, because this is what's being rehearsed to our forefathers, which empowered them to be used of the Holy Spirit and used by Yah's Spirit to do these great things, which happened on these very days right now that we're memorializing today with Hanukkah. Verse 34. So they joined battle, and there were slain of the host of Lysias 5,000 men. Even before them were they slain. When Lysias saw his army put to flight, and the manliness of Yehuda's soldiers, and how they were ready either to live or die valiantly, he went into Antiochia and gathered together a company of strangers. And having made his army greater than it was, he purposed to come again into Judea. So this is what the heathen do to this day. After they get their behinds, then they go get strangers. Then they go pay mercenaries. They go get the North Koreans, or they go get the people from the South America and all these different places, and they coming over our border, and they being trained up as militia when the government ready to fight. And they already told you, the elder talks about this every Shabbat, who their public enemy number one is. The Israeli council in Atlanta told you that the young black generation is their biggest threat to Israel. Verse 33. Cast them down with a sword, and them that love you, and let all those that know your name praise you with thanksgiving. So they joined battle, and there was slain of the host 5,000 men. Okay, we read that. Verse 36. Then said Yehudis and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. So now we into Hanukkah. Upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up unto Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burnt up, and shrubs growing in the courts, as is a forest, or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they ripped their clothes and made great lamentation and cast ashes upon their heads. So this is the holy temple had been for so long been overtaken by the heathen that it had shrubs and bushes growing in it, that, the priest's chambers was pulled down, that, all the altars were ripped up. So verse 40, they fell down flat to the ground upon their faces and blew an alarm with the trumpets and cried towards heaven. Then Yehudis appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary. So there were still people in the fortress around the sanctuary at this time. So he cleared them out. He fought them all off. And now he can go to work. And this is what this represents. And that's what we had to do personally in our temples. After we had all the shrubs growing up in our heart with all this pagan Halloween and Christmas and all this foolishness, Easter and all these pagan holidays, pork, eating ham and pork and doing all these things. And we are reclaiming that temple. And we have to rip these things down. Get rid of these idols out of our heart before you can start putting the good things in. And Hanukkah is one of the good things to put back in. Obviously, the holy days, which we finished the holy day season, is the first thing you put in. Then comes Hanukkah and Purim and all the things which are celebrating our history and how Yah showed up for us and how we're still here because of these events. Verse 42. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bared out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And it was defiled stones because they made them at the altar, which is made out of stones. It's hewn stones that are put together. And they made them sacrifice pork. If you go and read the previous chapters, unclean animals, and forced the children of Israel to eat that in the temple. Verse 44. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it was best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it where they pulled it down, and laid upon the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, and there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then took they the whole stones according to the law and built a new altar according to the former. Again, the altar according to the law, Moshe had to be built out of pure stones. It couldn't be, one big stone that they carved to make some beautiful. No, it was stones that had to be pieced together. Verse 48. And made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple and hollowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick. And now, where you see the candlestick, that in Hebrew would have been menorah, and the menorah is 7 branches. A menorah is not 9 branches. I don't know where they get 9-branch menorah from, the Jewish menorah. So the menorah, the candlestick they made would have been the same that we all had, 7. They made also new holy vessels and the candlestick and the altar of burnt offerings and of incense and the table. And upon the altar they burned the incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. So this is what we do on Hanukkah. We light our menorahs. We put light upon the candles. Now, the tradition is they light one each day. So if there's 7 candles, you can light one each day until you get to the 7th day. And then on the 8th day, you just got it burning. Verse 50. Verse 51. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table and spread it out, the veils, and finished all the works that they had begun to make. Now, on the 25th day of the 9th month, which they called Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had made. So after they cleansed the temple from the heathen, they pushed out all the idol priests and everything like that, and they cleansed the place, and they brought in righteous priests that prepared it according to law. They dedicated it on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is Hanukkah. That's why it's called Hanukkah, the dedication of the new temple. Look at what time and what the heathen had profaned it, even that it was dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals. So we enjoy this day. We play music. We light the candles. We celebrate our history. We learn, where did this come from? Why are we doing this? It's memorializing this. We're preparing to return back into our land. And what you think, the temple is going to be in pristine condition? It's going to be filled with idols. It's going to be filled with all that Jewish and Judaism and all that foolishness. So we have to be prepared in our hearts to go back in our land, like the prophecy says, because whether it's us or whoever goes in there, this is what's going to be happening according to the prophecy. Verse 54, 55. Then all the people fell on their faces, worshiping and praising the all of heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praised. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed, and they hang doors upon them. So we can deck our houses with gold and silver and different things and put up little festivity things to show a memorial of us rededicating our temple and our homes, rededicating our homes to YAH and getting rid of the idols. Where in some of our homes, we had those Christmas trees at this time. Soon as after Thanksgiving, you get the Christmas tree, you put it up. So we rededicating our homes and we're getting rid of those things. And the first temple is our heart and in our homes, and we memorialize this. Verse 56 or 57. Salakia, we're verse 58. Thus were they very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Yehudis and his brethren with the whole congregation of Yahshua ordained that the days of dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 25th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness. So there it is. Now, this is our forefathers, our princes, the brothers that were responsible, for freeing Israel, for helping us live at a time when we were getting ready to be wiped out. So Yah chose these brothers to keep this and be the ones to cleanse the temple for us and to get the heathen out of Yah's temple and rededicating that back to Yah. And they ordained that. So again, is this Yahweh's holy days? And no, Yahweh, remember, Noah got 7 candles. So there's 7 holy days. But these are our holidays, for lack of a better word, our memorial days, our traditional days that we celebrate because it's our history. We spend so much time celebrating everybody else's histories. We take days off for everybody else's days. Remember when we was in school, they used to have Jewish holidays. That's what they called them. And we would get, and they later changed them to teachers' work days. We took them days off. All right, so now we're going to see the second great marker that happened on Hanukkah, and this is with a miracle that happened. All right, so we're going to go to 2 Maccabees chapter 1. 2 Maccabees chapter 1. So we're seeing the history, where this came from, why we keep it. And then we have one more reading where we're going to see Yahweh Shai, see what he do, because at the end of the day, what did he do? He's the example. So 2 Maccabees chapter 1, and we're going to start that at verse 1. All right. The brethren, the Yahudim that be at Jerusalem and in the land of Judea, which unto the brethren, the Yahudim that are throughout Mizraim, health and peace. Yah be gracious unto you, and remember his covenant that he made with Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov, and his faithful servants, and give you all a heart to serve him, and do his will with good courage and a willing mind. And open your hearts in his laws and commandments, and send you peace. And hear your prayers, and be at one with you, and never forsake you in the time of trouble. And now we be here praying for you, that time as Demetrius reigned in the 169th year, with the Yahudim wrote unto you in the extremity of trouble that came upon us in those years, from the time that Jason and his company revolted from the Holy Land and kingdom, and burned the porch and shed innocent blood. Then we prayed unto Yahweh and were heard. We offered also sacrifices and fine flour, and lighted the lamps, and set forth the loaves. And now see that you keep the Feast of Tabernacles in the month of Caslu. So now they're calling it Feast of Tabernacles, but this would be like the temple. This is definitely not Feast of Tabernacles, because the month of Caslu is for them is the 9th month. So this is talking about Hanukkah here. And we're going to see as we read down. In the 188th year, the people that were at Jerusalem and Judea and in the council, and Yehuda sent greeting and health unto Aristobulus, king of Ptolemais, master, who was of the stock of the anointed priests, and to the Yahudim that were in Mizraim. Insomuch as Yah has delivered us from great perils, we thank him highly, as having been in battle against the king. For he cast them out that fought with the holy city. For when the leader was come into Persia, and the army with him that seemed invincible, there were slain in the temple of Nania by the deceit of Nania's priests. For Antiochus, as though he would marry her, came into the place, and his friends that were with him, to receive money in the name of a dowry, which when the priests of Nania had set forth, he was entered with a small company into the compass of the temple. They shut the temple as soon as Antiochus was come in, and opening a privy door of the roof, they threw stones like thunderbolts and struck down the captain, hewed them in pieces, smote off their heads, and cast them to those that were without. Blessed be our Elohim in all things who have delivered up the ungodly. So he's talking about how they wiped them out. Verse 18. Therefore, whereas we are now proposed to keep the purification of the temple upon the 25th day of the month Caslu, we thought it necessary to certify you thereof, that you also might keep it as the Feast of the Tabernacles on the end of the fire, which was given us when Nehemiah offered sacrifice. So now it's talking about the miracle. Nehemiah offered sacrifice after that he had builded the temple and the altar. For when our fathers were led into Persia, the priests that were devout took the fire of the altar privily and hid it in a hollow place of a pit without water, where they kept it sure, so that the place was unknown to all men. So they're hiding this sacrifice, and there was no water, and they put it away to preserve it. Now, after many years, when it pleased YAH, Nehemiah, being sent from the king of Persia, did send of the prosperity of those priests that had hid to the fire. But when they told us, they found no fire but thick water. So obviously, if you burying some wood after a period of time, it's wet. So they didn't find anything. They found water. Then commanded he them to draw it up and to bring it. And when the sacrifices were laid on, Nehemiah commanded the priests to sprinkle the wood and the things laid thereupon with the water. So they took the sacrifice, put it there. It's wet. It's shouldn't even light up. When this was done, and the time came that the sun shone, which was afore was hid in the cloud, there was a great fire kindled, so that every man marveled. So this is the miracle. So this wet wood that was preserved and hid by the priests was redug up, re-excavated, put back down, sprinkled with water, and the sun came from outside the cloud and lit it up, and the sacrifice lit on fire, on purification, on the day of dedication. So this is what we're celebrating. This is our history. This is a miracle. All these things are symbolic of what is to come, of our nation, how our fires to be reignited again. A sacrifice will be made for us. Verse 23. And the priests made a prayer while they were sacrificed was consuming. I say both the priests and all the rest, Yehonathan beginning and the rest answering thereunto, as Nehemiah did. And the prayer was after this manner. So we should read this every Hanukkah. O Yahweh, Yahweh Elohim, creator of all things, who are fearful and strong and righteous and merciful, and the only and gracious King, the only giver of all things, the only just, almighty, and everlasting, you that deliverest Yasharah from all trouble, and did choose the fathers and sanctify them. Receive the sacrifice for your whole people, Yasharah, and preserve your own portion and sanctify it. Gather those together that are scattered from us. Deliver them that serve among the heathen. Look upon them that are despised and abhorred, and let the heathen know that you are our Elohim. Punish them that oppress us, and with pride do us wrong. Plant your people again in the holy place, as Moshe has spoken. And the priests sung psalms of thanksgiving. That's a mighty prayer right there. That's all that we want, is that prayer to be answered. And we know it's going to be answered because this is Yah's will. But we want us to be in that time, to be part of that generation, to reestablish that temple. And can you imagine that, dedicating that temple, being part of that generation that was there to dedicate this temple with Yahweh Shai returning? Verse 31. Now, when the sacrifice was consumed, Nehemiah commanded the water that was left to be poured on the great stones. When this was done, there was kindled a flame, but it was consumed by the light that shined from the altar. So when this matter was known, it was told to the king of Persia that in that place where the priests that were led away had hid the fire, there appeared water, that Nehemiah had purified the sacrifices therewith. Then the king, enclosing the place, made it holy after he had tried the matter. And the king took many gifts and bestowed thereof on those whom he would gratify. And Nehemiah called this thing Naphtha, which has much to say as cleansing, but many men call it Nephi. So this is, again, the tradition why we also give each other gifts. You know, we for the kids, we gave them gifts. You know, Christmas is around this time, and you got to understand that Jewish, they might say, oh, we calling it Hanukkah, but they keeping something completely different. They not dealing with this. They got a dreidel and all kind of stuff. They got nothing to do with us. They got 9 other, what the other 2 branches stand for. Ask them that. Because the 7 branches, we know what those stand for, what the other 2 stand for. And they going to keep it right around Christmas. See, theirs is real close to Christmas. How it happened to be right around Christmas. This supposed to be the 9th month and the 25th day. So let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to Yohanan. We're going to go to Yohanan chapter 10, and we're going to see if YAH kept Hanukkah, because this isn't Yah's set apart day. He gave us that in Leviticus 23. He told us those days. So if YAH is to show up and keep these days, then this has to be lawful. It's got to be righteous and holy. So we're going to go to book of Yohanan, John, chapter 10, and we're going to read 22 through 42 for the conclusion. All right, we're going to the book of John. Thought I pulled it up. Chapter 10 and verse 22. All right, so this is at the time of Mashiach. So at the time of Mashiach, they're keeping Hanukkah. Verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication, and it was winter. So when is feast of dedication supposed to be? In the winter time. All right, it was at feast of dedication, and it was winter. And Yahushua walked in the temple in Shlomo's porch. Then came the Yahudim round about him and said unto him, how long do you make us doubt? If you be Mashiach, tell us plainly. Yahushua answered, I told you, and you believe not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But you believe not, because you are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. So clearly, Yahushua walked in the temple in Shlomo's porch. This is where Hanukkah was kept. This is the porch, because this is where it was destroyed and it was all ripped down, and they had to reestablish this. So this is the tradition. So Yahushua kept Hanukkah. He kept Feast of Dedication. Is right here. All right, so we're going to keep reading. Verse 28, and I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. So anybody who tries to say that Yahushua is Yah, and the Father, Son, and the Spirit is all the same, no, they're different entities, but they are one, because the Father is one with the Son, but he's letting you know there's one that is greater, the Father, which is the greatest. That's why he's called the Most High. He's not making himself equal to the Father or saying he's the Father. He's the Son. And notice he says, no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. So you trying to help somebody and save somebody, you do the best you can. You put forth your effort, but you don't force nobody, because nobody can pluck them out of the Father's hand. So if you don't force them, if they in the Father's hand, they gonna stay in the Father's hand. So you do your job. Don't feel like you special, like you gonna make somebody get salvation. Salvation is a gift and you not the gift giver. Verse 30, I and my Father are one. Then the Yahudim took up stones again to stone him. Yahushua answered, of many good works I have showed you from my Father. Which of those works do you stone me? The Yahudim answered the same, for good work we stone you not, but for blasphemy, and because that you, being a man, make yourself Elohim. Yahushua answered them, is it not written in your law, I said ye are Els, you are gods? He's cutting them up in the word. If he called them Als, unto whom the word of Elohim came, and the scripture cannot be broken, say of you of him whom the Father hath sanctified and sent into the world, you blaspheme, because I said I am the Son of Elohim. If I do not the works of my Father, believe me not. But if I do, though you believe not me, believe the works, that you may know and believe that the Father is in me and I in him. Therefore they sought again to take him, but he escaped out of their hand. So he is at threat of death. They want to kill this man, but he's showing up in the feast where everybody gonna be at, all the people that want to kill him, and kept dedication. So if Mashiach kept it, we should keep it. If we kept funky old Christmas and Mashiach didn't Christmas and we called ourselves Christians, then we should keep Hanukkah. And even if you're not an Israelite and you call yourself a so-called Christian or follower of Christ, well, then follow him. Why are you not keeping Hanukkah? He kept it and they wanted to kill him. So people, worship with their lips, but their heart is far from him. Verse 40. And went away again beyond Jordan into the place where Yohanan at first baptized, and there he abode. And many resorted unto him and said, Yohanan did no miracle, but all things that Yohanan spake of this man were true. And many believed on him there. So praise Yah, Hanukkah is our culture. It is biblical. Yahushua did keep it. And there were miracles that happened on this day. So now we understand what Hanukkah is about. It's about the dedication to how our forefathers had to fight off the heathen, kick them out of our temple, re-cleanse it, dedicate it. And that the miracle of the sacrifice was made, where things that were not supposed to be reignited were ignited. And the so-called tradition is said that it burned for a whole 8 days. The fire burned 8 days without any fuel or any lighting or anything. So, that's what they say. I didn't read that, but that's what they say. So that's all we're going to do today. If we have any questions, we'll answer any questions. If not, we'll see you all for Shabbat. We'll be going ahead to light our menorah and to celebrate these days with joys and gladness. All right. So again, we are Savior Word of Yah. Yah's will, we will see you for Shabbat. Yah be with you all and enjoy your Hanukkah, your feast of dedication. Shalom.